Oh, we're picking up a few more participants. So let's, at 5 after the hour, Jim, let's go ahead and start.
Very good. We are live. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Just bear with us. Thanks. Alan, I see him over there. Do you want me to let him in?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Good morning.
Hello, hello. We're going to get started here in just a second, Tobias. Say hello to Alan.
Great. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And to everybody, all of our attendees, we're going to get started here in a second. Let's see if and I've got our other panelists in this
Yes, I see him.
promoting. Got them.
All is well. Good.
All is
Just
well
Mr.
indeed.
Wade, take it away, you and Tobias. I'll sit back and watch and enjoy.
Okay. Well, depending on where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jim Way. I am the Executive Director of the American Astronautical Society. So glad to have you all with us right now. We have a really cool session in store for you. For the East Coasters, it's a very early morning session. It's 3 a.m. where I am, but we're working with our audiences from all around the world to make this work for everybody. Without further ado, I'm going to turn things over for our session on commercialization and non-government utilization to Tobias. Tobias, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
And why don't you go ahead and introduce our panel of presentations. I'll put the slide up there. And then after that, we'll run the executive summaries.
Sounds great. Yes. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the panel for commercialization and non-government utilization here at the ISSR&D conference. We have a total of 5 presentations here, and we are having the presentations from Bioreactor Express, which is the panelist Gianluca Neri from Kaiser Space, and Gianluca is supporting new programs in commercial microgravity exploitation at Kaiser. We have the abstract of Kirara, Commercial Services for Drug Discovery. From he's the Kirara project leader and engaged in developing new business in LEO activities. We have the Bartolomeo external payload from Dr. Christian Steimle from Airbus Defence and Space. And Christian is manager of the Bartolomeo program. And we also have the commercialization as driver for industrial innovation presentation from Lisa Depp from the European Space Agency. And Lisa is innovation officer in the Department for Commercialization and Innovation. And last but not least, we have the Kibo utilization status presentation from Hiroaki Tateshita from the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. And Hiroaki is a senior associate engineer in the Kibo Utilization Center. And with that, I think we are ready for the executive summaries.
Excellent. Bear with me. I'm just going to load those up. Stand by.
And I guess as a comment to the audience, we do have the Q&A option here. So during the presentations, you can put your questions in that Q&A version of the chat. So not the chat, but the Q&A. And I will be using that Q&A version to ask the panelists your questions.
Okay, and here we go. Thanks for bearing with me.
Bioreactor Express, a commercial service to perform experiments in microgravity, a status after 2 years of activity. In 2019, Kaiser Italia partnered with the European Space Agency to set up Bioreactor Express, a service conceived to make access to microgravity a reality for companies, universities, and research organizations wishing to perform scientific experiments and technology demonstrations in space. Several years of space exploration left an important heritage of infrastructures, equipment, and know-how. Available since 2008, the Columbus module is a pressurized science laboratory with state-of-the-art research facilities and represents Europe's first permanent outpost in orbit. Inside Columbus is Cubic, a miniaturized laboratory active on the ISS since 2004, dedicated mainly to life science experimentation. The establishment of commercial partnership to boost the exploitation of existing infrastructures in low Earth orbit is part of the European Exploration Envelope program. Kaiser Italia is a private aerospace company located in Italy with a sister company, Kaiser Space Limited, in the United Kingdom, with core business in the design and manufacturing of scientific payloads and equipment for the ISS and satellites. The company has a portfolio of experiment hardware ready to be used to support investigation in microgravity on different biological models such as human and animal cells and tissues, yeast, bacteria, algae, small animals, and plants. The ISS supports every year hundreds of experiments from all over the world. However, experimentation in space is somehow limited by the high cost of the projects, launch opportunities, and funding availability for the researchers. The Bioreactor Express service was conceived to overcome these limiting factors thanks to the pre-allocation of resources by ESA to the service, the utilization of flight-proven, ready-to-flight hardware, the streamlining of the process by reducing the number of players involved. Experiment hardware used in Bioreactor Express is designed to be used in Cubic. The main feature of this incubator are a temperature control from 6 to 38 degrees Celsius, a centrifuge providing simulated gravity between 0.2 and 2 G, data and command capabilities. Different types of experiment containers can be accommodated in the thermal chamber. The experiment hardware used in Cubic consists of bioreactor and a container. The container holds the bioreactor and provides the control electronics and the mechanical, electrical, and data interface to Cubic. So far, 3 experiments have been acquired. The first was prepared and developed in 1 year from the contract start to its launch to the space station. The experiment has been completed and the samples delivered back to the scientists after exposure to microgravity. The other 2 are in the implementation phase. These experiments are all performed using existing flight hardware. That cuts the design and development time and reduces the time necessary to certify the flight readiness from both mission success and safety standpoint. These experiments range from microbiology to therapeutic nanotools tackling cutaneous cancers to skeletal reconstructive surgery. 3 projects have been carried out in the second year of activity of Bioreactor Express. The first addressed an investigation on the function of mitochondria as a key regulator of muscle loss. The second was a feasibility study for a new experiment on graphene nanocarriers drug delivery tackling the replication of tumoral cells. Their study was an implementation of an experiment on a childhood brain tumor for which there is currently no cure. More information about the service and the available hardware can be found in the Bioreactor Express website. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, I'm Naohiro Sato from JAMS, Japan Manned Space Systems Corporation. Thank you for joining this session. Kirara, meaning shiny in Japanese, is commercial service of protein crystallization in space. We had its technical demonstration in December 2019 and first commercial service in December 2020. Please let me introduce overview of Kirara and outcomes. We have partners to realize Kirara service. Confocal Science has long experience of protein crystallization in space since Space Shuttle era. They provide crystallization tubes and optimize protein crystallization for space mission. Space Application Services, who is a European company, provides their Ice Cube service with their own facility in ISS. They also support our marketing in Europe and US. JAMS is an integrator of Kirara. So Kirara service is provided with worldwide team. We are aiming easy-to-use service for customers unique as a private company. To enter Kirara, clients just provide us the datasheet of a few pages, including information of their samples. We need information for transportation and safety review, but we don't ask purposes or values in research. We also don't claim any intellectual properties they obtain. Pricing policy is clear. Basic service offers 4 tubes as sales unit. When necessary, we can optimize samples for space mission. We charge the fee per target protein. We can send freezing crystals back to client after return. Generally, we pick up 3 crystals from 1 tube. Our customers don't need to be specialists of space mission. It is our responsibility. So once samples arrive at our site in Japan, we will take care of all processes between our site and ISS. Kirara number 2, our first commercial service, was very special due to COVID-19 issue. In Kirara number 1, we visited at KC to prepare for the mission, such as sample installation in the cube. So we had to do launch site work of Kirara number 2 remotely. We really appreciate for great support of KC engineers. They installed the samples to the cube for us, while we confirmed their tasks from Japan. We had a practice session using test cube and test samples in advance, and prepared for procedures in English. It was hard, but very successful, thanks to help of ISSR and NASA. In Kirara number 2 mission, COVID-19 unique experiment was done. InnoStudio launched their samples to understand how remdesivir interact with its delivery substance cyclodextrin. We heard they had very interesting results in their research. This is an example of Kirara outcomes. Cellulose was synthesized enzymatically under the microgravity environment for the first time in the world by University of Tokyo. Cellulose synthesized in space has an overall uniform network structure, as shown in Finia Bravo, while agglomerates can be seen in the ground control sample in Finia Alpha. We think this result opens new material research possibilities in space. We plan Kirara number 3 with SpaceX CLS-24 this December. We are glad that ILL and IACT will join it. IACT is an originator of counter diffusion method that Kirara uses. ILL is a premier facility in the world for neutron protein crystallography. Their target is large volume crystals for neutron diffraction. We already received their samples and started preparation for space mission. For more information, please visit at Kirara website. Thank you for your attention.
Welcome to this presentation of the Bartolomeo All-in-One Space Mission Service, your quickest ticket to low Earth orbit. My name is Christian Steimle. I'm the Bartolomeo Program Manager at Airbus Space Systems in Bremen, Germany. I'm very pleased to present our Null Payload Mission Service to you today. My colleague Mareike Sopa and I will be your presenters today. Following some intense and exciting years for the Bartolomeo team, the platform was launched and mechanically installed in 2020 with final cable connections during a series of extravehicular activities or EVAs in early 2021 and the in-orbit commissioning of the platform right after that. Meaning that today Bartolomeo is right where it should be in its designated place at the very front of the space station, and we are now working with our customers towards launching the first payloads. For you, that means if you entered into discussions with us now, you could have your payload up and flying by this time next year.
Bartolomeo provides excellent viewing conditions in all directions. Depending on customers' requirements, we will make sure to find the site best suited for their purpose. This example shows the result of a field of view analysis for site number 3 performed by NASA. It is a stereographic projection of the zenith and nadir fields of view. You can see parts of the station and, in light blue, the corridor for the passage of the ISS solar arrays. As you can see, the nadir and zenith views are free of any obstacles even when visiting vehicles are docked, and the RAM view on Site 3 is entirely unobstructed. As you can see in the overview table on the right, most of the Bartolomeo payload sites provide very good nadir and zenith view, and many have a good RAM view as well.
Depending on the payload volume and mass, Bartolomeo provides 3 different accommodation options. As you can see here, a standard slot is roughly the size of a washing machine. A double slot has twice the size, however, its maximum mass capability is the same as for the single slot. For heavier payloads, we'll always need to make sure that they fit into the overall mass budget of the platform, which is 2.5 tons. On Argus, we're extremely flexible for any payload no smaller than 3U and no larger than 170U, again in terms of volume with a good amount of flexibility with regards to shape. All options are offered following our standard list price policy for a 12-month mission, which comes at 3.5 million euros or roughly 4.2 million US dollars for your standard slot. Our pricing is defined as a price per year per mission, and there will be no additional cost for a satellite bus, launch cost, or any other extra charge, unless you decide to opt for a payload return. Also, should you opt for example, a 2-year mission, there will be a discount on the price for the second year in order to reflect the reduced effort with respect to launch and installation. In terms of applications, there is really no limit. We see a lot of demand for in-orbit demonstration of technology, an area in which we have signed a few contracts already and are working on additional requests from Europe, the United States, and Japan. Bartolomeo will also carry science missions in areas such as exobiology and material science. First contracts for such missions are already signed. An atmospheric research mission is also under preparation. You can see that the list of possible applications is long, yet it may well not be complete. Please do not hesitate to bring forward whatever you have in mind, and we'll be happy to discuss the best possible solution with you. Let's have a look at a few examples of customers who have already signed up. We would like to thank you very much for your attention, and we are looking forward to having you fly with us on board Bartolomeo one day. Airbus, we make it fly.
Hi, my name is Lisa Denzer, and I work at ISA in the team for commercialization and innovation, where I'm responsible for the development of the Business in Space Growth Network, which is an umbrella of all of our commercialization initiatives and exploration. And in my talk, I'm going to speak about space as a driver for industrial innovation. I'm going to speak about our vision, what we're already doing, where we see potential for business opportunities. I'm going to speak about the mission of the BSGN and the BSGN toolbox that we're providing to private industry in order to help with the development of both services and the development of products and applications. The vision that we have is that there's going to be an economic landscape emerging in LEO on the Moon and Mars. We see private industry driving innovation through the development of new products and services, fueled by an equilibrium of supply and demand. And this equilibrium is something we're trying to establish very hard. So we've already started this process. There's a lot of opportunities. We have exploration, infrastructure, and technology already being in space. The ISS gateway is coming, free flyers. We see modules, landers, and stations being planned and hopefully emerging over time. We have unique selling points such as human presence, microgravity, extreme environments, and space resources, and they enable a whole range of use cases such as commercial research, product development, testing and qualification in space manufacturing, but also a range of services that are more oriented or geared towards mission support such as cargo resupply, servicing, and maintenance. And there's a whole range of possible target groups that can benefit from these commercial services that are provided, such as agriculture, biotech, pharma, energy, resource management, of course, materials, manufacturing, mining, and this is just a selection. There's many more. So essentially, there's an opportunity here for industry to act as a service provider, but also as a user of a service in order to improve products or processes or develop new materials, for example. So there's really a broad range of opportunities. And I think in the conference, there's going to be a lot of detailed presentations, sparking a lot of ideas for projects, which leads me to the mission of the BSGN, which is to create an ecosystem in which commercially motivated products and services can thrive. So we're really intensifying collaboration with terrestrial vertical markets. We're facilitating the engagement of new actors to develop new products and services based on commercially viable business models. So we want to create this ecosystem and bring people together and help ideas succeed. And we have a number of tools developed to aid that process. So for example, if you want to develop a new commercial service, you can do that in partnership with ISA. We have the Commercial Partnership Initiative, where you can, for example, license or rent existing infrastructure to provide a commercial service based on that. You can also propose to develop a new platform, facility, module, think big if you like, in partnership with ISA to provide a commercial service. So keep that in mind. We have also started developing market stimulation programs which target specific sectors, markets, or industries. That means there is going to be a program per industry which is managed by an industrial partner, and they are implementing a project portfolio that is funded by a program fund. So these are really looking at bottom-up use cases and project implementation from within the industries. We have already the first program set up with our partner Medis, which is looking at biomanufacturing, and we have an open call for programs to be established. So if you're working in an industry, for example, in agriculture, manufacturing, or any of those, then please have a look at our ISA Star publication platform and see BSGN Market Stimulation Program. It's open until the end of August. And we're also setting up a new call for proposals where you can apply for a feasibility study and demonstration project in co-funding, which can help to mature your project and help you to provide a really good service or product to your customers. So please have a look at the full presentation. There's much more information there. Feel free to reach out. You can also find us on various social platforms. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. At first, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Hiroaki Tateshita, working for Kibo Utilization Center, JAXA. Kibo is Japanese experimental module, and I'm in charge of Kibo utilization strategy. So today, I would like to explain about the current status of ISS Kibo utilization. First, please let me introduce our strategy. In this strategy, we define future vision. We are aiming space environmental utilization in LEO become a part of human, social, and economic activities through Kibo utilization. To realize this future vision, we have three main activity areas: promote acquisition new technology for human space exploration, contribute to national science research promoted by the government. Science utilization is very important for us. And promote business utilization. We conduct various kinds of demonstration, private utilization, as well as we are trying to transfer our technology and knowledge of Kibo utilization to private sector. As final goal, we hope we can become one of customers of LEO utilization. We prioritize the menu of Kibo utilization that can contribute to the national science research and the research and development of private companies with some index such as a certain number of user demand and unique capability on ISS. We call this menu platform. We provide non-stop support service from the entrance to the exit of the experiment for this menu of Kibo utilization. Currently, we provide 5 platform services, as shown here. In terms of commercialization, this standardized service platform is important for us. This is a kind of summary table of our effort of commercialization of Kibo utilization. To expand private utilization, we intend to share our technologies and knowledge of standardized utilization service with the private sector. Our approach for commercialization are very flexible. It depends on business situation of each platform, especially depends on the user demands of business utilization. In this year, we selected business partner of drug design supporting platform. The partner can promote their own business with this platform. And in this year, we also selected a private company to integrate mission operation and user-related activity of health and longevity research supporting platform. These services were previously provided by JAXA. Okay, let me summarize my presentation. I very briefly explain our Kibo utilization strategy. We are promoting Kibo utilization for our future vision defined in the strategy. To realize the vision, we have 3 main activity areas. Actually, in the full version of my presentation, I explained current status of each activity area. Then I explained Kibo utilization platform. Currently, we have 5 platforms. In terms of commercialization, JAXA is strategically enhancing the private sector's involvement and commercial activities, depending on the business situation of each Kibo utilization platform. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, well, those are excellent. Thank you, everybody, for your submissions of those. And Tobias, if we could have you come back in and on screen, and then we'll bring up the full panel of presenters. So if you all could please turn on your video and be ready for some discussion and hopefully some audience Q&A. So Tobias, don't forget to turn on your video if you're there. And Lisa, you as well, if you could jump in. And we'll get things started here. Tobias, are you there?
I am there. Unfortunately, I can't turn on my video because the host has stopped it. So if you could turn it on for me, that would be great.
I will ask you to start your video. Sorry about that.
Here we go. Here I'm
there
back.
You are.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really would like to thank all our panelists for their outstanding presentations, and even more so for providing all these great commercial opportunities for conducting experiments in space and making experiments more accessible for pretty much everyone. Just a reminder for the attendees that we can have the questions in the Q&A section. I see there's already one. So please post your questions there so I can use them to distribute to our panelists. There was a first question already to Kirara, which is, did you develop the experiment hardware inside the cube by yourself, or was that produced from some commercial service? So Dr. Sato, if you could answer that question. And I think you are muted.
Yeah, we're not getting any audio from you, Dr. Sato. You're not muted, though.
He was in on a phone line earlier.
In the meantime, I think while we are trying to troubleshoot that, I do have another question, which I don't think is guided everyone specifically. The question is, what are the main parameters to be considered while designing a bioreactor for space, especially for food processing? And maybe this question can go to Bioreactor Express to Gianluca.
Yeah, thank you, Tobias. This is quite interesting because food processing, of course, is something really, really important for the next exploration mission. And for example, in the European Space Agency, in ESA, I believe it's the same in the US, they're already thought on how to do that. And in particular is important you know, to work on the cellular agriculture. So the point is how to build a bioreactor that could produce meat or other kind of protein delivering food in space. These are a really important point today, thinking on you know, moon or Mars exploration. And there are already studies working on how to build bioreactors that can be able to deliver this food production, trying to reduce as much as possible the energy impact in particular. And of course, the other problem is how to deliver in space the nutrient to have this food growing. For example, a big problem is on how to have a very efficient recycle. So the goal is to achieve a closed loop system so that the waste that is coming after processing of the food can be filtered, sterilized, and recycled. So these are really big issues that really the space community is starting now to work on. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. If there is anyone else that wants to add to that question, otherwise I'm happy to bring this question maybe a little broader. I know from the Bartolomeo platform, which is outside the space station versus inside. So maybe Dr. Steimler, you can talk to the some of the differences that are there for people that are looking to make an experiment on the outside of the ISS versus inside the pressurized cabin?
Yeah, very good question indeed. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, very good question. Thank you very much. I mean, the major difference is we are outside and still payloads, most of them expected, will be launched pressurized. So there is the way out is an additional element in the installation scenario of a payload on station, which adds, of course, well, an additional step that needs to be scheduled, foreseen, and also organized and shared with other payloads also being transferred outside, as we have two payload airlocks that we are using. One is the Kibo airlock, and the other one is the NanoRex airlock. And especially the NanoRex airlock requires, let's say, consolidation between various payloads to be transferred to the outside, as it has a lot of volume to offer and also to be used. That's one major difference. The other major difference is more in the technicality. I mean, the payload needs to be designed for vacuum application, so we are looking very much into the into materials being used, into also the thermal household. That's not the vacuum aspect, but you are outside. Payload is outside. We have different solar illumination heating conditions. That's more complex, but of course resolvable. And finally, also the safety aspect is there with EVA safety, and also structural integrity is much more in focus than for internal payloads. But it's all, let's say, something that we're handling out of experience. So it's just a bit more to think about. But in comparison to a satellite mission, where we are really with our platform in that domain, Bartolomeo is much simpler, and also the other external platforms, I would believe, are much more simple to use and to be prepared for.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sato, do we have you back on audio? Looks like, unfortunately, we still cannot hear you. Going down on some more questions. One more question is, how has the current pandemic affected the current operation and researches made at the International Space Station? Maybe we have a panelist that had a fairly recent experiment going up to a space station that can take this question.
Yeah, this is Gianluca. I think he is appropriate. And well, we had the experiment on the space station in 2020, and there was a bi-asteroid in the cubic incubator. And of course, in general, of course, we had problem with the supply chain, especially if you have to build hardware. That's absolutely a problem. In our case, there was not so much an impact because we already used existing hardware, and the point was only to have the engineers and the specialists devoted to the integration and final test on the hardware. So there was not much impact. And I would say from the other side of the ocean, in KSC, it was a really, really great support, and there was no problem in terms of allocation of resource. And of course, the the service to the space station had no impact at all on the pandemic. This was our experience.
Thank you very much. Did anyone else want to add to this question?
I can just support what was just said. The continuous support from ESA and NASA was great. No service interruption, if you will. The only effects that we really saw were on the payload developer side, where they had several delays in piece parts delivery and also in suppliers that had to deliver certain subsystems. They were reporting delays. That was the major impact. On the demand side, we do see some effects as well. On the other hand, we also have government demand taking over, let's say, at that point, and that's of course a positive effect for us here in Bartolomeo, but that's probably a unique thing here in Germany, where we had some funding then missions to the ISS, which was of course great.
Thank you. We have a question for Tadeshita, which is, what information would you need from a company to obtain a slot on the ISS for your respective constructs? And what or who would be your point of contact?
Thank you for the question. I think it depends on the demonstration experiment contents. So at first, maybe you can contact JAXA, including me, and maybe that depends on the contents. Maybe we can introduce appropriate point of contact. This answer can be answered.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I know from your talk, Ms. Denzer, that you are building a website to connect payload developers with researchers. So maybe you can talk to this as well.
Indeed. So we're developing actually a whole initiative. We call it the Business and Space Growth Network. And it's essentially trying to bring together industry, researchers, and the space industry in order to help projects being a success. So most of the questions I've heard today, we're actually trying to reflect on a new portal, a website that we're building, which is going to launch in around 4 weeks' time, where we will have a catalog with the service providers, where you can see a bit better who to contact, how it works. Also trying to anticipate questions about project implementation, pointing to funding sources. So there will be a whole range of tools and support mechanisms. We'll also make more clear how ESA supports both the development of services like Bioreactor or Bartolomeo and Chiavara, but also to project developers how to actually get help to use those services if they need any more expertise or funding, etc. And yeah, I'm looking forward to launching the new platform, and it's going to be a network, so people can actually register, sign up, create their own profile. So all of you will be able to promote your own service, post funding opportunities, and I'm also going to post the link in the chat to sign up for the newsletter. And then once we're online, we're going to send an email so everyone can sign up.
That is great. Yes, I can attest to the fact that it's sometimes difficult to connect the right people. So this is certainly a great platform. This question was also for Dr. Steimle. So if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we are, sorry, I'm fiddling around with my cell phone. I hope you can still see me. And now something goes wrong. Perhaps, do you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, I mean, connecting to the right people is indeed of the essence, because we are, although the ISS community seems to be large, and we all are here in the ISSR&D conference for as stakeholders in that great project. But outside of that ISS world, we are still exotic. We are not commonplace. What we are offering is very different from what is expected in the space world. So not a classic satellite, etc., and also the public-private partnerships that are always behind those commercial services are new to customers and investors, and there's a lot to do still. And we at Airbus, we have a very large network of key account managers, marketing salespeople, etc., and we are of course using that heavily to promote ISS utilization. But still, it's a long way to go, and companies like Nanorex, who have paved the way, are also still pioneers in that. And this is something that needs to be remembered, and also for post 2024 is, of course, a key factor of developing or evolving partnerships between agencies and us as service providers, and needs to be taken into account, of course.
Yeah, thank you. I saw, Dr. Sato, you tried to reconnect. So let's see if your audio is working now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So we'll repose the question to you. Did you develop the experiment hardware inside the cube by yourself, or was that procured from some commercial service?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And actually, we developed the cube by ourselves. The parts is cost-based, but we designed it and manufactured and tested for launch. So the cube itself was developed by ourselves.
That sounds great. And I guess I had a follow-up question to Gianluca. On some of the same level, I know you have some hardware that's pretty much ready to go, but it also looks like you can custom develop hardware for experiments. So can you talk a little bit to that of if it's what people can do to use your existing hardware, and how much more effort it is to develop new hardware for an experiment?
Yeah, Tobias, that's correct. The company Kaiser has experience of about 20 years of payload development for biological experiment on space, and so there is a huge variety already of experiment hardware ready. And our experience, we realized that we can accommodate many scientific requirements and needs. Of course, we can develop bespoke hardware, and the point of cost matter is different, is it time for availability of the launch and cost, because clearly if we can use existing hardware that's already been certified, the community knows how difficult it is to certify hardware for space, in particular for crew missions, and using existing hardware would cut time and cost. But of course, we can develop that, and we can start from the beginning with the scientists, understand their requirements, and working together to develop the best hardware that can accommodate that experiment. Don't know if it answered your question.
Yes, I think so. One question that we have for Tadeshita is telemetry with JAXA's Kibo will require a presence in Japan, or can it be applied from the US? So I guess the question is if you can receive data only in Japan or in the US. And I think I would like to extend that question a little bit. If are you taking customers only from Japanese people, or are you open for customers all around the world?
At first, we already have a foreign customer. Spanish company using our Kibo facility. And this experiment is coordinated by our business company. So through Japanese company, the international company can use Kibo. So maybe the user at foreign country, I guess can get telemetry from the Kibo. Maybe it might be necessary some arrangement about the network, but basically yes.
Perfect. Yes. One question we have is, how can one better integrate a non-space actor into utilizing space services, which I know is a big topic in the industry to get more researchers and even other kind of professions into performing experiments, or just not even experiments, but activities into space. So maybe Ms. Denser, you can take that one.
Yes, I think that's exactly what we're trying to address also with the BSGN. So I think one way to reach out into these non-space communities is to actually give talks at their events. In our experience, it's not so successful trying to get industries that haven't previously worked with space to attend a space conference. It's just, to them, I think, looks a bit like sci-fi, and they might not see the added value. So I think it's quite good to identify their trends, what they're interested in, the problems and needs that they have in their industry, and where space can come in to provide an opportunity to overcome issues they have, for example, in their processes. We know that microgravity alters a lot of the biochemical and physical processes. If we can go to their events, to their conferences where they meet, for example, in biotech and pharma, food, health, manufacturing materials, if we can go there and explain that, I think we are heard by that audience. We're also going to try to address that on our website, trying to get it out into these communities, and then also have them sign up on our platform. So it's not meant to be a space-only platform. To the contrary, it's going to include also services and actors that come in across the supply and value chain of the space industry to promote their services. So we're also going to have business consultancies, innovation hubs, scientific institutions on our platform, trying to create a catalog where everyone can find each other, so that we're going to extend our horizon a little bit there.
Great, thank you. So we are coming up to 3 minutes to our end. So maybe one of the last, or the last question, which is probably for Mr. Neri. For the use of bioreactors, how are the cell cultures preserved, or is it customer's preference? Standard incubators, liquid culture, 3D printed culture? I guess it's a very big question.
Yeah, indeed, it's very big. And just to be really quick, of course, we have to meet the science. So science is the paramount important. And for us, but I believe for all the service provider, we have to meet a contract, which means that we have to be able to provide all these. And this is possible because, for example, the incubator that we have on board can be set to temperature between 6 to 38 degrees. So it's pretty much good for any kind of experiment involving biology. And on board the space station, there are also other facilities that can provide temperature control, particularly for preserving cells that can be frozen up to minus 100 degrees Celsius. And that also this cold chain is available up to the point the sample are delivered back to the customer, which means that the cold chain is preserved, or there could also be warm temperature, and this is also for launch, and as I said, as for return. Try to be very, very fast and quick.
Yes, thank you. And maybe Dr. Sato, since you are working with biology in your drug delivery as well, maybe you have something to add on this one?
Yeah, and yeah, as And actually, not much, but for the transportation, that we need to keep the temperature. Keeping temperature is necessary. So that's always we concern for return and supply. And our customers request some good temperature conditions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there's several opportunities available. Like one, for example, is NASA cold storage assets that that provide the temperature to you up and down and on the space station. Yes, so well, with that, I think we are on the hour mark, and I would like to thank again all our panelists for their presentations and their answers to the questions. I am sure you are open to be reached out to by all our attendees if there's a question that has not been answered. So with that, I hand it back over to our MC. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Tobias. Thank you so much. And thank you very much to all of our panelists. That was great. And we apologize if some of these presentations were pixelated. You can go and see all of the presentations, watch them at your leisure via the website. So please go ahead and feel free to do that. And also for those of you asking, all of this will be recorded. It is being recorded and will be posted sometime next week, we think, on the AAS YouTube channel. But it'll also probably be on the ISSR&D conference website. So again, thank you to everybody for being here. We will now take a break for a few hours, starting back up again at 9 a.m. Eastern time for our next session, where we'll be talking about human health in space. So until then, we'll see you in a few hours. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.